Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Hello there and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Today we're continuing our Let's Play. This is episode 84. In today's episode we are taking a look at the Burglar side mission. For this it is playable after home invasion. It is not required for 100% completion, although the reward for this one is very nice to have indeed and will come in huge handy in the next episode. But for now, let's talk burglary. So for this you need a specific black box fill. One of these spawns in each 3 cities. We're doing this in Los Santos because it's the easiest van to find and is introduced to us during the home invasion mission. It's essentially parked near B-Dub's apartment. And once you're in one of these black box fills, once the time hits 8 o'clock you can activate this side mission. From there you need to essentially go and find some houses to rob, so large residential areas such as this one in Idlewood are perfect. The houses you can break into are randomized, so just because you could break into one house on one playthrough doesn't necessarily mean you can go into it again. Now you'll see me actually speed up the footage a little bit here, because once you get into a house you have to sneak around and find items, and sneaking takes a lot of time, so I may as well speed this up. So essentially what you're supposed to do is break into someone's house, find valuables, i.e. televisions, music sets, and games consoles, break in there, steal them, put them in the van, and yeah, after you've done that, move on to the next house, and then move on to the next house, and eventually rob enough items where you can take them to the drop-off point, and then get paid out on them. The requirement for this mission is to reach $10,000 worth of stolen goods, which normally would be very difficult if you did this casually. However, if you do this with a little tactic that you'll see in a minute, it's not so difficult. So each house has, I believe it's between 3 and 10 items that can be stolen. And of course, once you enter a house, you have to make sure to not make too much noise. As you can see, there's the occupants sleeping away there. The closer you get to the occupants, the more noise you make. Now, the closer you do this to 8 o'clock at night, the occupants could still be awake. So you do have to contend with that. There could also be gang members in certain houses if you do it in a particularly nasty district. However, that is, yeah, a bit of a problem, because they'll just call the police, and then if they call the police you get a 3-star wanted level, and that essentially ruins your night. However, I got very lucky here because neither of the occupants of this house were awake. I will say, if you create too much noise on your way out and then go back in when the cop timer's ticking, you'll be absolutely fine. So you can just sort of keep going in and out, and apparently they keep going back to sleep after they've called the police, which is weird. But yeah, the more you explore the house, the more stuff you will find. Although you'll see later on, I simply just go in for 3 items. Now, I've looted one house and looted the next house, so you'd think I'd go on to go and find another house. However, if you go back into the same house again, you'll notice it's littered with items. So essentially, the way to do this is find 2 houses that are close together, go into the first house, raid that, go into the second house, raid that, and then when you go back to the first house, it'll have all its items intact again. So you can keep going into the same 2 houses over and over again and rob as much stuff as you like, which is incredibly useful. And that's the tactic I'd recommend doing. Don't try and do this properly, do it cheaply is the way to do this one. So, as I said, it'd be fairly hard if you did this casually, but once you find this out, it's pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up once again, because the tactic is now obvious. I'm just going to keep going inside and out. You're given a decent amount of a time frame to do this. 8 minutes should be enough. You'll see me sneaking around. Technically, you can speed this up in various ways. However, I thought it was better to not risk it quite as much, and honestly you don't really need to, because you don't make a great amount of money from this side mission. As I mentioned, it's about $10,000 needs to be earned in full to get the reward, and you get a bonus $3,000 for beating the mission overall, so it's not exactly huge amounts of change by this point in the game, so it's not really worth it. You might also see me aiming my silenced pistol here, which doesn't have Hitman skill. I don't know if it would work with Hitman skill or not, but I'm essentially using that because it works. It goes faster than using CJ's standard sort of sneak pose, if you will, which you do get access to. It's sort of a unique animation when you're wearing the ski mask that you have to wear during this side mission. But as you can see now, once you can go inside the same house more than once, it makes things a lot easier. The cop timer always resets, and the items always reset. Technically speaking, you could go between the houses over and over again, steal one item, so basically go for the one closest to the door and do it that way. You might notice I went for an item in the bedroom last time round. I didn't do that on the second house, and I didn't do that again just because it takes more time to go ahead and find that item as it would do to just rob the first 3 items, which are easy to find, and then do it that way. So as you can see, you're getting towards daylight. If you're still in a house at daylight, I believe the side mission gives you 3 stars automatically. So you need to lose the police and then go ahead and drive to the lockup. So once it is daylight, you're told it's not the time for home invasions and you need to go and offload what you already have. Again, as much as each city has a boxfill spawn, it also has a lockup spawn, and I believe the spawns for the boxfill in San Fierro and Las Venturas are actually pretty close to where the lockup is. The lockup in Los Santos is where we dropped the stuff off in Home Invasion. It's the same lockup owned by our homie LB. So the reward for this is calculated by the number of items you've stolen, square that, and then times 20, and that's essentially what you get. There's no definitive item limit for certain stuff, so you can't look for game consoles because they're worth more than televisions. Each item's worth, I believe it's $20. So, yeah, that's the calculation they use. So, as you can see here, I'll park the truck in the lockup. It tells you how much you've stolen. In this case, it was $13,520 worth of goods. I should mention the $10,000 that you need to beat this side mission. You don't have to do that all in one night, so you can spread this across just like you can with taxis and the collectibles and so on and so forth. Once you've beaten the burglar missions, you get $3,000. I apologise, I'm going to say that wrong the entire time, by the way, even though I'm apologising at the end of the episode. So you get $3,000 plus infinite sprint. This is how you unlock it in this game. No more paramedic for infinite sprint. It's all about the burglary missions. So that's the way to do it, and it is an incredibly useful reward, one of my personal favourites in the entirety of the GTA games, and it's something that is going to come in much handiness in the next episode. Speaking of which, thank you all very much for watching this one, join us for that, and until then, farewell.
Speeding all around. The naked 47 got the power and it's bound to move any mother that gets in my way. Just another power machine on the freeway. Riding with me, there's my MC homeboy. Knowing the rules ain't part of his program. Finding the right way around this map might be pretty hard cause he's fucked on crack. Chief, Grand Theft Auto.